Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby.
Welcome, everybody, to the Miles and Crawford Variety Hour.
Woo woo! We're back, bitches!
We are back for 2018. People thought we couldn't do it. Here we are, proving them wrong. I'm just kidding.
I mean, in all honesty, who thought we were going to see 2018?
That's true. I mean, we're going into our 7th month now. Fun fact, everyone. Did you realize that New Year's Eve 2017 was the only time in which all adults were born in the 1900s and every minor was born in the 2000s? There's your new thing I learned today. And if you already knew that, you'll have to get your new thing you learned today from somewhere else. Sorry. Which, I'm sure there's plenty of other podcasts that can teach you something. Get your fact in for the day because there's plenty of cool ones out there. In this episode, we're going to talk about New Year's greetings, the state of our union, our ability to abandon every resolution before February, and of course, celebrate our first episode of 2018. So welcome, everybody.
Welcome. Hello.
Woo!
I know. Right. 2017, I think it was a really good year to us. We do want to give a great shout out actually to our Podern family. You guys have been so awesome, especially via Twitter.
They really are.
I've really been trying to figure out. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that they're great people.
They are. It's been such a great little community, and via Twitter, I mean, it's been fun. We, started our Twitter account, I feel like, as soon as we started our podcast 7 months ago, and we were sitting at like, just like 100, 150, 180, we kind of get the followers were real, small, but once we really started hitting those Podern family people on Twitter, we're at like 325 followers now. So thanks, guys. We appreciate all the follow backs. We've had a lot of retweets out there and all that good stuff. I always want to give, I had a great time listening to and shout outs people who've been giving us some extra love, or just retweeting us, or putting out reviews for us. Dumb All Over podcast, Bills with Luke Scorzeal, which anybody who likes politics, Dumb All Over is a really funny, like, two guys drinking beer, talking politics. Bills with Luke Scorzeal is like a podcast in which a guy just explains all of these laws and these bills that are being put into place. And it's very bipartisan, and he's not Democratic or a Republican version of it. He's just he's explaining it
just
to
the
you.
Facts, ma'am.
Well, yeah, and he explains the bills and the laws. He did a 2-part series on the new tax reform, and I've gotten through almost both episodes, but he explains it to where I understand it. I read a majority of the bills on paper, which I didn't understand, and then he kind of was like, hey, you're not stupid. This is what it's all about. And then the other ones, which was The Dark Divide, Heil on Life, and Home Video Hustle, all three of those as well. They've been great. So I just wanted to give a few shout outs to the great Podern family that we've been able to create over the last month or so.
Miles really loves podcasts. I probably listen to a third of the podcasts that she listens to. She recommends different ones to me every day. I don't. I wonder if she might sleep listen to podcasts, and then be like, I think I had a dream about, I don't know, whatever.
I do. It's how I kill my time at work, and I pop on some headphones and I go through the podcasts and, feel like it's always good maybe to help gain listener stuff on our end. I can help listen to the others and try to give feedback, and or I just like listening to other people because there's so many podcasts out there. Like the true crime family, good Lord, you people, that true crime little like pod world they have is.
Oh, I know. I'm in one of those groups and they're
intense. There's a whole,
yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. They're all, and they like to critique each podcast. It's almost painful to read. Like, man, I don't want somebody to review my podcast. Oof. But those are the groups that I join where I'm like, I was reading this other one where people were like, doesn't it just turn you off when people can't pronounce things? That was a true crime podcast group that I read that in. Some people have some very high standards.
Absolutely. I was one the other day I was listening to that talked about how they didn't. There was something that we do specifically that I remember us doing in all of our podcasts. Like, we just can't stand when podcasts do this. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't try to be too like for me, I'll take whatever you're listening. Like if you're going to bring to me and you're going to have your kid in the background and your dogs or whatever, at least you're trying, and I want to at least hear the content of it. But I think there's just some people who, they're like, they will only specifically listen to, produced podcasts only. And not all of us have that kind of money or equipment or time. So suck it.
Exactly. I feel exactly the same way. So let's talk about some resolutions. I like resolutions as an idea personally, even if you don't follow through. I think everyone that takes time to self-reflect and think or decide on something they want to improve on is awesome. I mean, if you're like, you know what, this kind of sucks about me and I really need to fix it. Yeah, I just think that self-awareness, I think that's a cool idea. So even if you don't follow through, it's the fact that you realize that that's something you got to change. And not that all resolutions are probably good, but like my last couple ones, let's see, the last few years is don't get maced. The resolution before that was don't get any more fist fights. I've been on that 4-year. I'm on a 4-year streak. Well, no, I just broke it about 2 months ago. I relapsed, lost all my chips, sobriety. But it happens. It happens. Anyways, that's I haven't been maced, and that's been, I don't know, 4 years as well. I don't know. It was a bad period there where I was either getting maced or punched. See, that's where I learned my lesson about running my mouth. So what's the resolution that you decided on this year, Miles?
I'm going to attempt, we're not even going to guarantee, but I'm going to attempt to be a little bit more frugal in 2018. I have a goal to pay off 3 large bills. We're going to see how that actually works out, but, we'll find out how that goes. I'm also dropping, what I like to call the office weight. I'm not all about, I hate fad diets. Don't get me wrong. I'm like all the rest of people who are like, I'm going to get new me, new year, whatever the shit is. And I'm like, no, look, I'm not trying to be like a whole new me. I just, I gained like 15 pounds sitting in an office over the last year. So like, I should probably get some of that off. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I'm trying to quit smoking, which I'm terrible at doing. I think I make that resolution every year for bajillion years. But I think
me too.
Yeah. But I know I'm probably could be able to pay off a lot of bills if I quit putting money into cigarettes. How much money I would save, blah, blah, blah. But I'm getting to that. I turned 35 in a month, man, like 35. I think it's, getting that point where if I don't quit soon, I'm, going to be doing it till I'm 85, which is fine too. But I feel like at least for a few years, I could knock it off, try to regenerate my lung tissue a little bit, and then go back to killing it later in life.
I like that idea. Some people smoke forever and don't get lung cancer, and some people who never smoke get lung cancer. So, I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot.
It really is. And I think that there's all those things that, it's... I've had an uncle that died of emphysema when he was 58, and I had 2 great-grandmothers who didn't die until they were like 87 of emphysema. So, I mean, emphysema runs in my family almost, everybody except for one person in my family has died of lung cancer. But I was like, oh, well, Grandma lets us, she was like 85, and she was literally still smoking in the hospital when you could still smoke in hospitals back in the day. Yeah. She was like, I'm dying of emphysema anyways, fuck it. I'm like, yeah, I can get it, Grandma. But I'm hoping to cut back at least, make sure that if I do still smoke, it becomes more of a social thing and not. But I mean, who knows? You might be hearing me next week, like lighting up like 12 cigarettes. Who the hell knows? We'll see how it goes. Not promising shit. The resolutions, like I want to try to be better. We'll see what.
Yeah, even if you don't follow through with them, like I said, it's the fact that you're like, you know what? There's some things that need to change. Damn it.
Yeah, if I can't get to it, I can't. But I'm not one of those like hold me accountable people either. I'm not expecting our listeners or my family members to be like, Amanda, you're eating a donut and you only promised yourself X amount of calories. Like, no, I said I wanted to lose weight. It doesn't mean that I don't want to eat donuts. There's a difference, right. Okay?
Yeah, don't talk to me about my donuts, okay? I'd be very upset. You get your heat. Well, I'm super fucking proud of you, really. Those are actually some really high. Those are some lofty goals, Miles. I want to lose weight, get out of debt, and just generally be healthy. You're American.
I'm so American.
All right. Realistically, no.
This year I'm going to answer my phone and I will pay probably off a large bill. Actually, there's going to be 2. One of them's the IRS, so that's going to get paid because they're going to take my money when I file taxes anyway. So that's going to get paid. And then, and then the other one is a small credit card that I opened up and then never paid back, and that. And now with all the regulations getting kicked off, I know that they're about to take that already ridiculous high APR and they're just going to fucking like screw me in the boot extra hard with it. So
as hard as they can.
Fucking douches.
My resolution. Oh my god, I dropped the mic. Sorry, everybody. Woo! Okay, that's what an earthquake sounds like. Okay.
An earthquake is that what
you know what, Miles? I was really hoping we could just glop it, but like maybe only I heard it. But yeah, I said earth cake, everybody. Earth cake. Who wants some? It's like mud pie. So it's got green frosting.
I'm finding a cool on that. Thank you. That actually helped open up my lungs a little bit, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I do what I can. I'm a healer in my off time. You should get a hug from me. You would not believe how good you'll feel for like 2 days. Okay. My resolution is going to be patience. I don't have a lot of it. I've been working on it for a long time passively. So I think I'm really going to be like, no, do not rip this person's face off. They are human. Because, I try to preach that. So I'm going to try that whole practice what you preach thing.
That's actually a very good goal to have.
Well, yeah, and I'll probably make it through the end of this month before I end up. I think I already ripped somebody's face off today, but no, maybe I didn't. Oh, I don't know. But anyways, so what else you guys tell us about 2018? Whatever stray thoughts you can tack on to that.
Well, I mean, this year's going to be, I think, insane when it comes down to politics. I think
politics.
Dude, no, you're right. It's
sports.
It's turning into a bloodbath. I can't wait to read this new tell-all book from this wolf guy. Really interested in that. But and plus you have all these elections that are up. Josh Mandel no longer is running against Sherrod Brown, stating his wife's health issues. So I'm not sure who the Republicans are going to put up without Mandel. So that'll be interesting to watch. Virginia, was it Virginia? Yeah, that recently, like, a Democrat won, and then it was so close they recounted, and now they lost because they literally picked names out of a hat. And then, but I think it's gonna be a really interesting a year, as well. I know that I was, but dude, okay, the Doctor Who special.
Let me tell you, I just watched a special about Dolly Madison, and it was talking about how back then in Congress, like, they used to get in fist fights and like beat the shit out of each other when they were arguing like our Constitution and stuff, like knock down, drag out fights. Like they physically beat the shit out of each other in Congress. And I did not know that. I never, I watched Congress on TV and I'm like, no, that's just uncalled for. And it's just inappropriate talk. You know what I mean? But I'm like, damn, they used to actually like brawl over this shit.
They still do it. Sometimes in the UK.
They should. You should beat the shit out of somebody. Like, no, motherfucker. I just think that's funny. It cracked me up. I'm like, it was a bloodbath back then. But anyways, let's talk about this Doctor Who Christmas special, which when you brought it up, I hadn't seen it yet. I just finally got to watch, but I only got to see the last half hour, so I'm a little pissed off. But amazing special.
God, I cried. Anybody who watches Doctor Who, I was really concerned how I was going to feel about Peter Capaldi when he started in Doctor Who, becoming, I found Doctor Who a little bit late in life, and so I was like, you're coming from David Tennant and Matt Smith and who was 9? I forget his name. He only had that one season. But anyways, he's a good actor too, actually.
The dude with the leather jacket.
Yeah. I don't know his name off the top of my head right now. I'm so sorry.
I know it usually, but since I'm trying to say it to other people, I don't know.
And so I was real concerned about how Peter was how I felt about him, and
he did good.
So fucking good. And then I was not prepared. I was not prepared for the special. And then I was like, holy, like, I knew it was going to be a really good Christmas special. I knew this was going to be the new, we got Jodie Whittaker coming as a new female doctor. Woo! But anyways, I'm going to probably end up ending the podcast. I took the little quote from his final words of the special, and it's beautiful. And I'm really excited to see what 2018 brings for Doctor Who. And as well, I'm excited about 2018. Like let's forget about the last year and let's try to move forward again. America, we haven't been doing real good on that, so I'm really hoping to see some actual. I mean, people in Oregon now actually have to pump their own gas, so that's a really big.
Oh, I know they're very upset about that. It's very they're like, I am not getting. Well, transients will get to them, and babysitters, or like they can't leave their kids in the car because somebody might snatch their children, and just all of these like apocalyptic scenarios of what's going to happen if they have to get out of their cars and pump their own gas. Bears are going to get me. Bears. We have bears in Oregon, okay?
I mean, I guess it's one of those things because I've never lived there that I did not know that people have never not pumped their. We live in Ohio where it's fucking cold, by the way, right now.
Freezing. We got some black bears, but
damn,
we pump our own gas.
I know. Like I just didn't know that this was like a thing. I had no idea that people never did this before. Like, were you guys never trained to pump your own gas? Like, how do you? Okay.
Well, and I guess that's the way it is in New Jersey too.
Really?
Yep, it's New Jersey and Oregon. They're both like that. So, wow. It kind of makes you wonder. That's what we should do. We do a little bit of research on some weird other shit like that in other states we just never knew.
Yeah.
Down south, they don't have drive-throughs. Like in Finley with the Thunderbird.
Yeah.
They don't have those down south. Why?
I don't know. I feel like it would be smarter. Like, I feel like it would be the smartest route to go. But maybe they're concerned. I don't know what they would be concerned about. I mean, maybe keeping the refrigerators cold with but why they're outlawed doesn't make sense. Like, it's so great. You don't have to get out of your car. You just drive through this little open building and you're like, hey, I need a 12-pack of beer, a bottle of Coke, pack of smokes, 3 lottery tickets, let's go.
It's like Walmart on wheels, dude.
It's so great. Where you're like, hey, I need some chips, some gum, some candy, whatever.
Have toilet paper on the shelf. I mean, you got to pay $1 more than what you would at Walmart, but you don't have to get out of your car either.
Dude, I can't. That's one thing.
Pay a convenience fee.
Yes, always pay the convenience fee. Always, because I love my drive-throughs because there's some days where like you're in your jammy jams and you need something, but you don't want to be in the public, and that's a great thing. You're like, hey, I can just drive on through, pick up what I need to go. And I get it. Maybe in the Southers, they're really concerned about the drinking and driving aspect of things, but I mean, that's the only thing I could think of.
That's what my son was telling me, was it because of drinking and driving.
Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Ish.
But that's
hey, Crawford, let's talk about the State of the fucking Union.
Because we're gonna beat Trump to it, haha. We're doing the State of the Union before you are. Okay, the state of our union is it's fucking cold.
It's so goddamn. But global warming can't be real because it's so cold.
That's right. The global warming is a fake news, and it obviously, look at how cold it is outside. I mean, if global warming was real, we should be hot.
I mean, duh. That's how science always is. Oh my god, I hate our president.
You know why animals are starving? Because they lived off the government's help for far too long, and now that they have to fend for themselves, they can't survive. Lazy, sad ass polar bears. Miles wrote that joke, and I just read it.
I love it.
It's so funny. I love it.
I'm like, seriously. I mean, can you not? If that starving polar bear, you could imagine that. I've seen that documentary. That shit is upsetting. It's upsetting, but in someone's brain, they're like, see, the government was probably feeding that bear all along, and now that the polar bear has a fish for itself, that's government assistance right there. Like, that's not how this works. But okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But seriously, tell us about our State of the Union, there, Miles.
Oh no! You're talking about the State of the Union.
No, I think that this has your heart and rantiness to it.
All right, bitches, please. No, seriously.
Miles wrote this, and I feel like it has her. It's just smacks of her tone. Smacks of it. It would sound like me doing Miles. With doing impressions. because she gets fired up. Sometimes I'm like, geez, Louise.
I get super fucking angry sometimes.
Yeah,
really, it gets real bad.
These angry Miles.
I am.
But yeah, you love and you're so kind. So it's very strange. You might be a psychopath.
That's what my husband told me last week.
But a good one, because there's got to be good ones too. These are powers for good. I will snap on you, but I will also help you dig your car out of the snow. So.
That is so true. That is so true. Because and then I'll tell you, well, maybe you shouldn't have fucking driven like a goddamn moron, and maybe
or you know what, you're not gonna make America great again being stuck in the snow, asshole. But here, I'll help you.
That's a line I would totally use on a Trump sticker car. I would still help them, and I'd be like, by the way, making America great again.
I'm a bitch, but I like to help people. I mean, that's okay.
That's okay.
There could be two things.
Yes.
That's the age that we live in. You can be whatever you want. Okay.
Everybody's really mad about us being whatever we want, though, right? I mean, I feel like everybody's really up in arms about people choosing to be whoever the fuck they want to be now.
I identify as a sunflower. No, I make that joke too much because when people are like blah blah blah, I'm like, excuse me, my mother was a it's a dumb joke. I like to make a lot of dumb jokes, so the dumber the better. I really like puns too, and that's stupid.
Oh, puns are so good though.
All right, listen, I'm gonna read this part. Are you guys ready? Oh my gosh, I hope you're all ready and paying attention. The state of our union is in disarray, people. The guy who is running this country is running it into the ground, like to China. He thinks that that's how we're going to get to China and get those jobs back. He is undoing every legislation that Obama and presidents before him put into action as an act of retaliation. And that is so true. He's like trying to take it back to 1982. He's undermining the years of hard work towards a healthier earth and does not care about the future for his children or his grandchildren or future generations at all. He's oblivious to the tax bill he put forward. He thinks he's doing an amazing job, though, because his little sheep keep creating his ego, and we are doing nothing but stroking his ego through all the headlines all the time. And that is so true. And he only watches Fox News, and he only reads certain publications.
Did you follow up on the Gorilla TV?
Yes, and you know what? I just get so tired of it. I'm just, oh my god! And I keep hearing fake news. I am surrounded by idiots all the time, and all I hear is fake news. And the other day I heard, thank God that Trump didn't fall for that global warming scam. I was just like, oh my fucking, whoa. So, we're more worried about his latest tweet than we are about the state of emergency West Virginia called for due to their overcrowded and understaffed jail cells. We are more worried about who is pissed off than we are about the chip program we have. Still not reenacted for 2018. Most of all, we sit here with each other and argue online over whose feelings are hurt than we are about the actual resolve of the problems. It's all about who can be the most offended.
It's absolutely true, and everybody is. You hurt my feelings by how you feel because your opinion, though you live like 6,000 miles away from me, somehow matters in my everyday life, and that's just not how it is. And I wish that people in general would just remember that we as a democracy run the government. We have allowed these people to sit in the office for as long as they have. We allow these pedophiles, these womanizing pieces of shit to be in office for 37 years and to run our country. And all you keyboard warriors that you're out there, you're not actually doing any justice. I appreciate it. Trust me, I'm with you. I have sent out the faxes. I have wrote the letters. I have blown up the voicemails. But at the end of the day, they're not listening anymore. They don't have my secretary. You're making somebody who's probably being underpaid for their job actually have to deal with your bullshit. How many times has your senator or your legislator actually picked up the phone? How many times have they really actually gotten back to you? How many times have they come to your house or to your personal town hall meetings and actually showed up and held themselves accountable? It's not actually happening. So you have to go out there, and we can't just say,
you have to put your words into action, people. You can't just click sign a petition. And that drives me crazy. That shit is so useless. I mean, all you have to do, I'll sign your petition. Here's my name, zip code, and email address. Are we good? Good. Great. No, and you make a better effort when you do make phone calls and fax and emails, but you have to show up. You know, you have to make your voice heard. Like, no, I really want to meet with my congressman. You know, if we actually did that,
and you stand
it
there and
overwhelmed them. You know what I mean? Like, was kind of like, I want answers. You know, that things would really start to get done. And you know, there's constant protests outside of the White House. It's not like they broadcast that all the time, but I mean, well, my youngest son just went on a trip to Washington, D.C., and just from the pictures he brought back, there's a lot of anti-Trump sentiment in D.C.
Yeah, you can. There's definitely no doubt about it. I think that there's a lot of people across the board who just they don't like him. He has a very low approval rating for the same reason. My kids, we were talking about this the other day in the mall because they went to Books A Million, and Books A Million has this great setup where it's like the Hillary Rodham Clinton book on top, then it's like a Trump book, and then something else. Like it's a very funny order. They did this intentionally. It was a great setup. I was giggling, and but my kids, you know, they're well, Mom, you know, he's a president for a reason. And I said, well, he's a president. And he's a moron, and we shouldn't have never, you know, ever elected him. And you know, my oldest son looks at me and he says, well, yeah, Mom, but the majority of states voted him in, so we don't have a choice but to deal with him. And I was like, yeah, we do. We have a choice to impeach him. And my oldest, his eyes just, you know, are we actually going to impeach him, Mom? I don't know, buddy, but I hope so. Because my kid actually was a very pro-Trump in the beginning of the political race. It's very funny. My 10-year-old watches the news like I do, so he understands. But he thought that Trump was funny. He liked how Trump pissed everybody off. He thought all these like funny things about him. And then when he got down, like when it was getting down to the race, he really kind of started to see how terrible he actually was and was like, no, Mom, he's a really bad decision. And since then, he's been following it. He follows a net neutrality. He asks me about it every week, what's going on with it. So my kids are very informed, and maybe that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know, but they choose to be informed by it. They want to know. They have questions. But, you know, trying to tell my kid that the majority of Americans actually did not vote for President Trump. He just won, you know, the electoral college. And they're like, well, but why are we voting then? What do our votes mean? And so I get the gerrymandering. There's all kinds of things that go into it. But again, everything that's happened, we allowed to happen. We allowed these bills and laws to go into place, you know?
I absolutely agree. You know what? We need a revolution.
Oh, we
Don't
do.
You think so?
We need a revolution.
And, you know, from what I've read, Miles, it won't be televised. And if net neutrality is repealed, I'm not sure it will be streamed either. And if it is, you'll have to pay extra for the revolution package, which is buffered. We're going to have to invest in some ham radios and kick it old school. We should probably buy some books now, you know? So I'm just saying. Let's see what else we have here to talk about. Oh, you guys, this is such a great episode. I'm personally think I'm great. Revolution, Civil War, a true uprising, which Miles and I have been discussing off and on for a while in our personal time. Our country, I mean, whenever you see voting results or polls or whatever else, you ever notice it's pretty much half and half when it comes to the big issues. And so I feel like we've been arguing about for years. Dear Lord, could we just settle and actually move forward in this country? It drives me crazy that we don't get anything done because half the country feels one way, the other half feels the other way.
And no one compromises.
And no, there's no compromise at all. It's like, no, absolutely not. But how do you compromise with people who are absolutely fucking insane? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, what was there was a saying, I'm not tolerant towards intolerance, you know, and that's basically sums up how I feel about things. Like, I am not going to be tolerant to intolerance, you know. I'm not willing to live 1950, 60, and 70 and 80 over again, because that's where I feel they're trying to take us back to, you know. We were doing pretty good, and then boom, here we all divided again. Right. And it's almost disgusting how on display everything is, and the way they just parade this shit in front of us. Like, aha, yes, that's right. We are going to try and imprison you more and fuck you as much as they. It's just so bold and brazen and disgusting.
It is.
I get so angry.
You should be angry. Fucking, you shouldn't be angry fucking. Well, angry fucking isn't actually a bad thing.
It can be pretty great.
But we should be angry. We should be angry that we're allowing.
No. bite you or fuck you right now. Both.
It's so good. So good. I think it's so hard right now. I feel like we have divided this nation so thoroughly that we don't have the ability to even come to a compromise. Very few of us are even allowing ourselves. It's not about bending your moral compass. It's about just not being a fucking racist piece of shit. It's about understanding that there's poor people out there who actually work and are still poor. It's about understanding that there are kids who need free meals. And, the other day we had a letter to the editor in our local newspaper about how this woman doesn't believe that the very first baby that was born in our town on New Year's Eve should have been publicized because the parents weren't married. And it's ungodly like. And I wanted to reach the newspaper and grab her by her throat and just be like, you are so fucking ignorant. But that wasn't going to do...
By her throat. Just do it.
But it wasn't going to do any good, right? It's not going to do any good. I mean, it might. I mean, if we got rid of all the racist Nazi pieces of shit, it wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened. But, I mean...
Those uninvolved assholes.
And this is why we think the revolution's very Civil War, something along that line to me is very, very possible. I don't think there's a way for it not to happen. So what Crawford and I have been going back and forth about, how, if you have a Google or Alexa at home, you guys should ask Google and Alexa what would happen in a civil war. My kids have really fun with that. I popped it up and they gave me answers off of Quora, the website. And it was about what would actually happen in the case of a civil war in America. Now, because it wouldn't just actually affect us, it would actually affect other countries as well. So, Crawford, why don't you read off some of these wonderful answers that we've got on here from some of these people who... I like the first one about New Zealand, because I need to get some coffee. So I'm going to let you read about from Brandon's...
how do we say his last name? Wow.
Wah sounds good.
Waugh. It's got ugh in it. Ugh. Brendan Wog. I believe he's from a New Zealand perspective. It would be a disaster. You are our third biggest trading partner, and our economy depends on a world at peace. Suddenly, all your troops would race home. That leaves Korea, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and many other places very exposed. Suddenly, the vacuum leaves a lot of places requiring stability. Europe would have to rearm. New Zealand might even have to increase defense spending despite our big moat. Expect an increase in global disorder. You then have places like North Korea and Iran being able to cause trouble without the U.S. giving restraint. Thus, we would expect some extra wars around the world. And that's incredibly scary to really think about. Then there's your currency. As you are having an internal war, questions are placed on your existence. Also, you might print dollars to pay your bills or even default. Thus, world trade moves to another currency, perhaps the euro or the RMB. U.S. dollar holdings would plummet. Your borrowings would also increase, and you might have a massive amount of foreign-denominated debt after the war, especially if your currency had inflation. Boeing would suddenly find most of its planes used in the war effort. This means most of the Boeing spare parts around the world would be a second-hand unless manufactured outside of the USA. Airbus would love this temporary monopoly, except it now has got reduced demand due to fewer flights around the world. It'll also get lots of war export orders for the USA. But after the war, it will be a boom time for cheap planes as the U.S. Air Force sells off war supplies. Or the war surplus. If you have a war, then which ports do we ship our exports to? We don't want our ships to be sunk. And if you place trade controls on your exports to preserve foreign currency, this cuts our sales to you as well. We don't sell arms to any major degree, so there are no more sales here. If the U.S. seeks allies in the war to help it out, this might split the world. Just think if rebel states sought Chinese support, spheres of influence changes. We just want to sell our milk powder to everyone, not get involved in a major war. Then there will be the hard luck stories going out of the USA where New Zealanders who were living in the USA were forced to join your army and fight. While quite understandable, it would hurt your image among many nations. If the war goes nuclear, then things get bad. We might have to support relief efforts in the USA. After the war, you would have huge debts to pay off, and your reputation would be damaged because we would doubt your unity. Never mind the post-traumatic stress syndrome faced by millions and having to reunite a nation. So please don't have another civil war.
Very nicely said.
Yes, Brendan, great answer.
Great answer. We've got Shannon Poe, who answered the same question in 2003. I'm sorry I'm making so much noise. This new mic literally is picking up on like every small movement I'm making.
That's all right. You know, we're always trying to improve.
We are. And maybe if some people gave to our Patreon page, we'd be able to update our system. But anyways.
Heyo,
Patreon, visit us and donate. Thank you. See, Shannon Poe answered in 2013, said, firstly, it would quickly turn into a global issue. Powers granted to the UN would intervene, peacekeepers and human rights organizations would immediately begin dispersing propaganda and partitioning areas, strongholds, and media control. Secondly, division occurs over several issues, so respective countries of the world choose sides based on whatever the prominent issue or disagreement is. Before you know it, Canada and Mexico become de facto parts of the conflict and sell their proximity to the U.S. in exchange for protection or insurance against invasion. Thirdly, what begins as a division of one section or sections of the country rapidly becomes the dissolution of an entire nation. Remember, we live in times where civil wars within evolve into a theater of large-scale warfare. Don't believe me? Observe Syria, small-scale example of, at minimum, 6 different conflicts.
6 different conflicts. That's insane.
Yeah, I feel like we have like 6 different conflicts coming out of the media in one single day.
We've got 1,000 conflicts.
That's ridiculous.
Read them all every day. It's hard to keep up with everything that's going on. I really like this last one. It's a little bit long, but it's a very thorough answer. Most recently, Anonymous answered on September 7th. Right now, the country is more divided than it has been at any time since the Civil War ended, so this could hypothetically happen, although I think it's unlikely. To predict an outcome, we first have to consider what the two sides would be. Let's presume that the war would be divided along the lines of those who are Trump supporters and didn't have buyer's remorse after the election, and those who are part of the liberal progressive resistance. Essentially, that means you have all the former Confederate states, plus a bunch of rural northern states on one side, and you have densely populated urban areas on the other side. There would also be a bunch of states that would try to remain neutral as long as possible. Now, here's some facts to consider. 3% of Americans own more than half of all of the guns in the country. The vast majority of gun owners are white, conservative, live in rural parts of the country, and voted for Trump. The largest U.S. military bases are all in the South. In fact, Fort Bragg, Fort Campbell, and Fort Hood are the 3 largest military bases in the world and are all in the South. Active military troops supported Trump 3-1, and military veterans supported Trump 2-1. Donald Trump is currently commander-in-chief. If you add all those facts up, I think it becomes very obvious that if another civil war happened today, there would be a very different outcome than the one that happened in the 1800s. Antifa likes to look tough by beating up peaceful protesters, but I think their attitude would change very quickly if real guns and rocket launchers were pointed at them. I would not want to live in New York City if another civil war took place. Military strategy dictates that the way you win a war quickly with the least number of casualties is to deal your enemy such a major blow that the morale is completely shattered. Thus, I think NYC would be one of the first casualties of the war and would be quickly reduced to a pile of rubble once the tanks started rolling in. The destruction of NYC would probably be so devastating to the left that there would be an immediate, unconditional surrender. However, there is another scenario to consider, which is what would happen if other countries got involved. Most of Western Europe would almost certainly take the side of the liberal progressives, and if they got involved in the war, then we would be looking at World War III. And add nukes to the equation, and we could all very well be talking about the whole destruction of Western civilization, which I really think I'm thinking humanity.
Yep.
Nuclear clouds spread. I mean, it does some nasty damage. Anyways, however, all of this is unlikely to transpire for 2 reasons. Number 1, the American left is not entirely suicidal. It's a stretch to imagine so conceited that they completely lose touch with reality and start a war they have no chance of winning. Number 2, most people on the American right really do not want to take up arms against their countrymen, and will only do so if they feel they have no other choice available. Right now, most of the overt hostility is coming from the Antifa crowd on the left. I disagree at that point there, but that is some informative information on what we could expect if this would happen, and perhaps how we can start to prepare now for a possibility. We will abandon ship at our disposal because, well, hell, it's not a rightful new year unless you fail at least once or twice. Maybe thrice.
So, I mean, yeah, there you go, guys. I mean, there are some thoughts and some answers from around the web on what civil war would be like in the United States, but, as well as how it would affect all countries abroad. We're a superpower, and everything we do has a ripple effect across the world. What side do you think you'll land on, and what are your thoughts and fears on the subject? I feel that right now there's a lot of people who are talking about this in smaller groups, but I would like to hear from some of you guys, and we would love to get some of those answered out in our next show. So let us know what you guys are thinking about. And I feel like, man, that was, we're sitting at 40 minutes, and we're still sitting pretty good. I know that we were talking about, to kind of talk about things on the brighter side. There is no brighter side, actually, after a Civil War conversation.
The sun'll come out tomorrow. Tomorrow there'll be sun. Okay, sorry.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Let's see. Before we end this podcast, Crawford, what do you I don't even know. What was I going to say? I fucking just lost my track of thought.
Oh jeez. Oh,
we're both like super
you're the one with the fucking train and conductor hat on, and you're like, hey, passenger has been reading a book for the last half hour. Where are we? Oh, I don't know. I've
taken a lot of medication today. Okay, I'm underneath a cold. I've had a shit ton of medication.
I'm super sick. See, we're not haven't even seen each other, but she got sick. I was sick. Now she's sick. It's just, it happens. We all get a little sick. I think we were kind of gonna wrap up talking about that Doctor Who Christmas special. I don't think we've brought up Doctor Who a whole lot. Miles and I are massive fans of Doctor Who.
Love Doctor Who.
I started watching it when my son was like 9, and he watched it on Netflix, and I kept hearing the theme song. And then I ended up sitting down and watching, just, passing through the room and watching it, like, what the? And at that time, I think he was on the Matt Smith, but his favorite Doctor is actually David Tennant.
David Tennant's so fucking good.
I know. So this last Christmas special, they really shook things up. I mean, I cry at every regeneration, and I absolutely love every storyline. Like, they just reinvent it, but they do it, and you can always tell it's still the Doctor. So I'm interested to see this woman that's going to
is that a cat?
I had a cat fight right behind me, everybody. Well, it'll probably pick it up later. You might not hear it now, but there's been 2 cats meowing at each other. I knew it was going to happen. I was like, well, maybe they'll stop. Oh, well. So, yeah, everybody, I got cats that are brawling. It's been cold, and I usually let them out in a cage type area outside. And they haven't been able to go out and have their outside time, so they're a little pissed off at each other in general. Get out of my face! But anyways, Doctor Who's amazing, and we kind of wanted to talk about what he said in the Christmas special, because it's really damn good. And just have your tissues ready, everybody. I'm going to let you do it, Miles. Do it.
If I just start weeping, I'm telling you. Anyway, so...
Ben!
I can't do it. Tell me more. All right. Anyways, quick shout out to say thank you for listening. Make sure that you guys visit our website at milesandcrawford.com. Visit our Patreon site. Come follow us on Twitter at MC Variety Hour. Follow us on Facebook, Miles and Crawford Variety Hour. That's just our show. Look it up on Facebook. You guys can come join, follow, talk to us, send us messages. I would always love the feedback. You guys are more than welcome to go ahead and send emails. And so we finished up Doctor Who. The Christmas special was absolutely wonderful and beautiful. And if you haven't watched it, you really should. But I thought that after talking about the Civil War resolutions and just things in general, that it was a really good ending. So the final version was... If you can imagine Peter Capaldi running around. I don't even want to read this now. But anyway, I'm so fucking distracted. He's running around.
Buddy.
I can't.
You okay?
I'm all flustered. The kids keep staring at me. And you know how it gets when people are watching you when you're talking and then you're just done. So I'm all flustered now. Like, now I'm really flustered. I'm really sorry.
Listen, everybody. Miles is so flustered. Just for a moment, we're going to have a Zen moment. Close your eyes. You're on a sunny beach. Digging your toes into the warm snow. Okay.
So much editing. You read the final because I can't now. I'm all like, I'm literally blushing in my own house.
Everybody, lastly, before we go this week, let's talk about the Doctor Who Christmas special. If you watch and had a dry eye at the end, then you are a stone cold bitch. Damn. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. Are you guys ready? Huh? I think I heard a yes. So, all right. Doctor Who Andy. Thank you, Peter Capaldi. Yeah, I wasn't sure about him at first, and I really loved his performance through his time. Here we go. You wait a moment, Doctor. Let's get it right. I've got a few things to say to you. Basic step first. Never be cruel. Never be cowardly. And never, ever eat pears. Remember, hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. Always try to be nice and never fail to be kind. Oh, and you mustn't tell anyone your name. No one would understand it anyway. Except children. Children can hear it. Sometimes, if their hearts are in the right place, and the stars are too. Children can hear your name, but nobody else, ever. Laugh hard, run fast, and be kind. Doctor, I let you go.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah!
So, a little bit about our universe, everybody, and what we're working on resolution style, talking about some Civil War, all that good stuff. Don't forget to visit our website, milesandcrawford.com. Donate to our Patreon account. Potter and Family, you're the best. Lady Pod Squad, I love that group on Facebook. They give a lot of advice, and I usually enjoy a post every day from somebody and learn something new about podcasting. So just in general, everybody that we've met and started networking with, the podcasting community is a pretty lovely community, I think. But I don't know.
Absolutely. They're amazing people. Thank you guys for your love.
All right. Well, see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.